Here is a look at your Gap and Go trades for the week of September 22nd through the 26th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from September 15th through the 19th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Tsly. We ended the week at 905, up 2.38%. This is where we are. To the north side takes us to one level of resistance and a potential take profit area at 2 standard deviations, and that is 916. Above that, 922 and 927. To the south side takes us to -2 standard deviations, which is 895, and another potential buy-in area and another potential stop loss area at 890. And below that, 885. Looking left, what happened last week? We had many gaps close. So let's take a look at this one. It opened up on Wednesday, the 17th. And it touched right there on Wednesday, the 17th, the same day it opened. And this gap, we went up, so we gapped and closed it out to the downside. I did not mark that out at 886. This gap formed on Friday, so that will extend into this upcoming week. And we have many little tiny gaps that also opened and closed. And this gap all the way to the upside at 870, and that opened up on Thursday, June 12th, closed on, let's clean this up, right there, out of the gate on Monday. That took us to $8.70, so congrats. If you bought in lower than that and unloaded at 870, I will clean this up. Yep, that's it. And this gap needs to be extended. So this gap is still in play at 843. This was also once the middle of the trend that I marked out. It has now turned into support if we go down. And we have other gaps that will take us to the south side, which I will mark later. And to the north side, where could we head? So, oh, this one closed. I need to clean this one up. But 988 is a target to look forward to. Let's extend that out. And then go back, oops, Command Z to undo. Let's take a look at this one, the 895 gap, and that opened up on Friday, June 6th, and finally closed out as well at 895. So let me just delete that so I know. 895, 895, that is no longer in play. So 895 closed out on right here, the 17th of September on Wednesday. I own Tsly and Tesla. So that is done. And again, the gap I will be looking forward to will take us to this level right here at roughly 989-ish. And by the end of the week, so again, we're starting here, the end of the week, the middle of the trend could take us to 940. This would be resistance. All right. And oh, I want to do one other thing. Now, I normally mark out the middle of the trend, but as you can see, we are so close to it from this line and this line. So when did I mark out those lines? Let's go to the 45, 909 and 905. So 909, I marked out, let me move this out of the way. That was marked out the week of Tuesday, May 25th, and we finally, hit resistance up here. So, and this one I marked out on Monday the 19th. So I'm going to delete these two lines, but let's take it back to the 5. Again, I just marked this out so I have a reference point of where we've been and where we're going. And all the purple horizontal lines have been marked out in 2025. The yellow lines have been marked out in 2024. So we're finally just hitting possibly areas that we've already hit. And then the hot pink lines are lines that I have bought in. And then the light pink lines and the green lines I bought in and sold out. I no longer own those lots, and the green lines are when I sold out. So I plan on selling maybe this lot down here whenever we get to a certain point. All right, so let me do one thing and I will move on. So I will delete that and this one. And now I want a clean line right here. 906. So we could grind sideways. This could act as support and then fall down as well. But many levels of support and resistance in between. And don't forget the lines and the prices continuously change depending upon what time frame you are playing. And TradingView does that automatically for you on the linear. All right, let's go to Neo. Let's move on. I've spent too much time on Tsly. I want to make this quick for you. All right, resistance takes us to 755, a potential take profit area as well. 780, 792. Don't hold your breath for 806. That will happen at some other point. To the south side, 728, 715, and 701. Looking left, here is support and a buy-in, and then we hit resistance on the way up and then fell down, and then this turns into resistance, went sideways, and then made our leg up, next leg up. So this gap at 658, remember I just extend this, I have no idea where it touched, and it touched out of the gate on Monday the 15th. So finally, this one is done. 658, I marked it at 659, same thing. And then we have this other gap. Where? Oh, I've already extended that one out. All right. So that one takes us to 666. Oh, it already hit. What am I saying? That touched right there roughly. Let's make this a little bit bigger so I can see that. No, it didn't. It touched right there. Tuesday, September 16th, it touched and closed out at 666. So congrats if you went long based off of that as the target. Okay, that's done. So we have still gaps to the south side. This will take us down to 555, 508. There's one at 498, 446. So many gaps to the south side, but not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. So I've marked out a couple of prices at the end of the week. So the 19th we ended at 737, but previously 481, 501, 463. So those are definitely some pullback areas that may have been a good buy area as well. So the next target to the upside for Neo is going to be where? I think it's 7. Let's go to the 15, or let's go to the 45 and see this. We have a gap that will take us to 791, 847, 894, 961. Many gaps to fill. I'll be tracking this for quite some time, but it's one gap at a time. So the next one, will be, okay, this one closed. So let me extend that. And it appears that 791 will be our next target. Got to grab it at the right spot. And this one touched right there. So let me clean that up. That took us to 716. As you can see, I've tracked this one for a very long time. This gap opportunity opened up on January 12th of 2024 and finally closed. My goodness. Oops, wrong one. Delete. So look, I have other gaps I need to clean up too, and I'll do that. 7-9, yeah, that closed out a long time ago. All right, so that is it for Neo. Let me go back to the 5. But did I say when? I never marked it. All right. Thursday, Friday, right there. So all I'm looking at is from here to here. And again, I'll look at the middle of the trend for the end of the week. We could touch 831, the outer bands 884 and 778, which then lines up with 2 standard deviations for Monday. All right, the next one is going to be Boeing. Look at this wick, as I talk about all the time. The wicks get you to a higher level, but it always gets sold off. And that's a sell signal and a sell signal here. All right, price targets. So all I'm doing is looking at price for the week. Oops. Oh wow. Wow, I never marked. That's so weird. I know I marked this for the end of the week, but it's not showing up. So let's do it again. Very bizarre. All right, looks like we're still in a slight downward pattern, but one level to the north side takes us to 216.05, 216.72, and 217.37. The middle of the trend. Let's move this. There. So we could hit this, which would be support, and bounce off of it, or grind sideways and eventually just continue this path down until there is a turnaround. To the south side of that, 213.37, 212.71, 211.99. And note the bounce at support here, got bought up here, sell off close enough here, 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 here. And we had no gaps form last week, or if they did, little tiny ones that got closed out. All right, and those are your gaps to the south side. Next up is, oh, wait a minute. I want to show you by the end of the week, the middle of the trend could end at 214, the outer bands, 211.37, and see, here's red, white, and blue. The upper band could end at 216.74. Nike, we ended the week at 70.89. Right here is where we are. That is so bizarre that my end of the week lines did not appear. All right, here we go. In a downward channel on the 5, again, you'll get different buy and sell signals depending upon what time frame you look at, but this is our next middle of the trend, which lines up with a gap that already filled, so I'll talk about that in a second. To the upside, 71.88, 72.26, 72.63, 70.35. Let's move this out of my way so I can see. 69.96, 69.57. And looking left, you can see here was your buy signal. This is a sell signal up here on the way up. We ripped through, touched this line. That's resistance, sell off into support, bounce. This acted as resistance. Here's your sell off. This is your, if we're up here, going down here, that is support, and then a bounce up to resistance. So what are we looking at? Oh, we have a gap that will take us starting at 79.03, taking us all the way to 94.08. But that's been, oops, in play for a very long time. All right, and to the south side, did I ever do that? 70.33, 69.96, and did I say 69.57-ish? Okay, here's the middle, well, excuse me, the end of the week. The middle of the trend could end at 68.64, the outer band 67.13, and an upper band 70.20. All right, let's clean up this gap that touched. At 71.11. 71, or I marked 09. Close enough, but it formed on basically July 1st. So that is no longer in play, no longer a threat to our account to the south side. There are plenty of other threats, not this one. All right, and it closed out at roughly, again, 70.09-ish. Down there. All right, and then we have other gaps to keep in mind that will take us all the way down to 62.79. If you thought, oh, you lost an opportunity to buy cheaply, we could re-enter this area, but I don't know. We could also quickly reverse. So that starts at 69.35. And then we have these gaps to look forward to the upside, but not right now. Of course, different buy and sell signals on the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Rivn next. Option R, reset. Price targets. The middle of the trend, let's mark it out for giggles. 1441, we could also just chop it in this window. To the north side, 1482, 1502, and 1522. To the south side, $14 down the road, possibly $13.80 and $13.59. Looking left, look at the, oh, we have this gap here that will continue into the upcoming week. This is support and a buy-in. This is resistance, kind of chopped sideways a little bit. And then this is a clear sell signal. Take profits. All right, and the end of the week, we could, oh wait, whatever, I don't know what happened here, why it is not sticking put here. Stick and put, staying put, which is the line I already drew, my goodness. Okay, the middle of the trend, 1452 for Rivn. Kind of going sideways here. Seems like we take one step forward and then sometimes two step back. Yeah, it's crazy. We've been whipped around. The 52-week high is 1750 and 950 for the low. All right, the next one and final one is Intel. This thing ripped and hit a gap that I've been talking for about a year and 7 months, which is 19 weeks. No, it's like I've been tracking this thing for 1 year and 7 months, and it's been crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, I digress. I was just staring at something. And let me check something out here. All right, to the north side, middle of the trend. 3168, 3515, 3703, and then retracing to an area we've already been and bled out afterwards, 3890. To the south side, support 2805, 2624, and then later on 2436. Many gaps, as you can see, to the south side. And then this one, oh, I also deleted, oh, that's because I made a video where, yeah, I deleted, oh, I thought I deleted this line, this vertical line, yeah. But anyway, all right, so this gap, we gapped up, which means we will eventually fill to the downside. Oops. And that will take us back down to 2497. And then these other gaps down here. And let's give you some, did I give you price targets? Boy, I'm really out of it here. That is so crazy. Okay, Friday, Monday, Friday, right here. So all I'm looking at is a move from this line to this line, and look at this straight up. But I don't know. I think there's going to be a pullback since we chugged along so hard here. 41.35. No way. Really? That is crazy. Okay, that makes me want to stay in longer. And to the south side, though, that could be 34.19. Okay, so we are right here. So the middle, oh yeah, I did do the middle of the trend, 31.68. Then if I didn't, 38.88, this area, 36.97, 35.21, and then 28.03, 26.09, and if I already said it, 24.44. Maybe it'll just hit home with you. But this gap at 24.97 is still in play, and this gap to the upside is, oops, done. Check this out. So I've been talking about this 29, I'll have to show it to you on a bigger time frame. Right here. Touched on Thursday after it was announced that NVIDIA has purchased over $5 billion worth of shares, investing in the company, having it produce something for it, and then SoftBank invested $2 billion. But this 2903, let's take a look back. Let's look at this on the daily for giggles, since this is my last one. I have looked at this for 1 year and 7 months to get back to a level that I talked about in the beginning of this gap and go, that I put it on my watch list here and then started tracking it. So that's 82, is it 82 weeks? Wow. 19 months. But finally we hit 2903, and I marked out 2903, this gap, on August 24th. But there are many gaps to this upside that will take us into the $50 range and retrace to those levels. But for the purposes of my gap and go, I was whittling this list down to 5. At one point, I think I had 20 tickers that I tracked, some of them over and over again. But I have stopped doing that. These videos get way too long, and so now I'm going to cut it down to just 5. So I will take off Intel and just do the other core tickers, but that is crazy. So since I'm on the daily, let's give you some targets here. 29.58 is right here. So one level to the north side, 30.73, and roughly 33.80. And one level to the south side will take us to 27.64. So keep that in mind. And the RSI is overextended, so look at this. Your spidey sense should be kicking in. Look at this. And then getting slammed right down. You know that's going to happen. No way around it. So now let's take a look at this on the weekly. Looks like a hot mess. I know. So 29. So we're at 29.58 right here. So one window, one channel to the north side, 33.20. And to the south side, 19.38. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, that is it for my gap and go trades. Oops. I do want to leave you with this note. Please, the election is coming up. If there are 3 candidates, then the ballots will go out. If not, then we'll never know if one other person, hopefully one other person did run that I know. So fingers crossed on that. And maybe this lady didn't run with her nepotism husband. Well, we got rid of him, so he's no longer the Nepo husband, but he was for the longest time. And they thought that was okay. Not in my book, and not under the eyes of the law either when it comes to a quorum and voting. Okay, that does it for me. That is a look at my 95th Gap and Go for the week of September 22nd through the 26th. And if there's a ticker you want me to go over, please let me know. Have a great trading week.